Good morning, everybody. It's been a great conference so far. It's only 9:30 in the morning, and so much great stuff has already happened. You know, Neal, I just heard you get 3 or 4 rounds of applause. I heard some hooting and hollering, despite the fact that your wife says that your biography should be called Just Famous Enough. I think that might have to go in for a rewrite at some point. I think people know very well who you are. You know, you're also one of the most visible and vibrant and vocal Catholics in Hollywood. That would be an attraction enough. We wouldn't have to say another thing here. People would have said they would have seen something unusual. But we certainly want to talk about some of your adventures in film and showbiz and the movies and stage and TV. But let's get grounded here first, if we could. This, of course, is a Catholic conference, and you're definitely one of the better-known Catholic actors. Can you tell us a little bit about...
How's that for an honor to start with, right there? And before we go any further, thank you all for being here. I mean, you're all here for a reason. You're all here to get closer to God. You're all here to find the best parts of you and have them come out of you and show them off to the world, show them off to everyone. We're all his disciples. We're all his children. I was saying earlier today, since we're all his kids, doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter anything. We're all brothers and sisters through God. And if we just rooted for each other just a little bit more and embraced each other a little bit more as to who we are as a big family, this is a family, everybody. This is an awesome family. This family is a Catholic family. This is a great family. There are all kinds of other families. But let's embrace all those families and love each other, because that's what Jesus came for, wasn't it? It was to love. And listening to the bishop speak last night about mercy, which we'll get into in a second, I'll never forget that speech. Who was here last night to hear the bishop talk about mercy? There was one key ingredient that I don't think he touched upon so much, because he touched upon so much. It was just incredible. But there's a mercy that you have to show yourself. You have to figure out how to overcome. I overcame alcohol. I overcame other things. Everyone has to overcome something in life. There's always those temptations that the devil puts out in front of you. And you say, ooh, I'll take that. I shouldn't have taken that. And you keep doing it. It's the mercy that you share within yourself, forgiving yourself for your flaws, that gets you that much closer to him. Yeah, I was saying earlier, if you're in an airplane and the plane's going down, and the air masks drop down, they say, make sure you take care of yourself first before you administer to somebody else. That's life. We all here have to take care of ourselves so we can be the best vessel for him, not ourselves. That's what life is about. That's why we're all here this weekend, to learn how I can love myself more. And that might sound weird, but it's not. Reve, my wife, is all about, once you take care of yourself and love yourself, other people can learn from you and love themselves and love others. Because that's what we're all here for, isn't it? To love each other in this finite amount of time that we have on this planet. So, look to the person next to you. Listen to the right, to the left. Look at everyone who's here today. Everyone is here trying to be the best version of themselves possible. Congratulations, everyone here, for just that alone. So thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. And I was going to ask about, obviously your faith is very central and important to you, and I assume it came naturally to you through your parents, who were immigrants from Ireland and settled here, and you guys were born into an Irish Catholic family. Is that where the faith began?
It helps when you live right across the street from the church in Boston.
Yeah. To church with you. You're turning a sinner to church.
I'm not sure how many times I hit a wiffle ball off the stained glass windows, but I was forgiven, I guess. I at an early age, my parents were both from Ireland. And my grandmother in church every day, and it just kind of, without knowing it, it just stuck inside me. And I was that funny, entertaining kid who would do anything for a laugh. As the youngest of 6 kids, that was my job, is to, in a tense time where there wasn't a whole lot of money in our family, and immigrant parents, there wasn't a lot. So my job was to make everyone laugh when times were challenging. But it was when I got into high school that, I had this rapier wit, and I could put down anyone. I could push you back with my comments, and I would make sure I do it in front of a boatload of people, so I would get protected, everyone would laugh, everyone thinks that I'm funny and that guy's an idiot. That's not a very healthy way to go through life, is it? And I went off to a religious retreat one weekend called Echo back on Cape Cod where I grew up. And I changed. I changed to using that rapier wit, using that entertaining bone that I have for good. And it took a while, and we'll get to that. But now in the last several years, my wife Hervé and I have had this mission, and it is to do films and television shows that give glory to God. It's pretty awesome. Thank you. So our first film was a little movie called Redstone that we did for $500,000. And I figured out how to make it somewhat religious as a hitman finding himself. It's what everyone else said. And then we did part 2, and my wife, Hervé, helped find the financing for that, and we got up to $1.5 million on a budget. We're like, wow, this is incredible. And again, having that backdrop of faith. And then now we've done 3 or 4 films since, and now we're up to this last film that we did, which I'm so proud of, called The Last Rodeo, that I wrote and produced alongside my wife, Hervé, directed by the incredible John Avnet through Angel Studios, and it comes out in March. And it was it was my proudest moment as an actor because of all the things I just said. But as you all know, I haven't kissed a woman on screen since I met Hervé, and I only did it once before that because I was just never really comfortable with it. Yeah, you killed 1,000 guys. It's not real. So in this film, as the writer and producer alongside my wife, I told Hervé, I said, you have to play my wife through flashbacks because I have to kiss somebody in this movie, so it's gonna be you. And she begrudgingly said yes, and she was incredible. I mean, she was so great. And I'm famous for 1 or 2 takes, because I'm always so prepared as an actor. I think it's that first generation chip on your shoulder. You have to. My dad said when you go to Hollywood, if they give you $1, give them $2 worth of effort. So that's just who I am. But on that day, we did 15 to 18 takes of me kissing. No, I need 1 more. That wasn't good enough. We got to do that one again. Have you seen my wife? She's a beautiful woman. So that's where I am.
Well, growing up in Barnstable, Massachusetts, right near Hyannisport on Cape Cod, were there any Kennedy sightings early?
Oh yeah, there were all the time. Hyannis is a pretty small place.
Yeah.
So you'd run into all kinds of neat people in Cape Cod. The summer people would come in, and then the people who would be there year round were a whole different type of people, and I love them both. And I miss anybody been to Cape Cod or from Cape Cod around here? It's a magical place, and I love it so much.
But growing up, obviously you grew up in an Irish Catholic environment, as did I. And was there anything unusual or more extreme than the normal Catholic upbringing? Would you think, or did it feel pretty normal?
I'm not really. I don't know. I think I was talking to my cousin Brennan Monahan the other day, and we were talking about it. Our parents both owned motels, and we were right next door to each other, a mile apart, but we were next door to each other. And we were always at each other's houses. His parents were from Ireland, my parents from Ireland, relatives were already, so it was always Irish people around. So I never felt anything but just part of this great Irish heritage. And I'm so blessed for it because I got to learn at a young age right and wrong. I got to learn at a young age what love was, what attention was, what all the great things that you could possibly imagine in a childhood I got because we didn't have lots of money. We had books, we had music. Neal, get up and sing a song. Neal, get up and tell a joke. So it was always entertaining people. So it was this really kind of idyllic childhood that I had with my mom and my dad and my brothers and my sister that it was, this has just been, entertainment has just been a natural progression for me. In fact, my son Morgan just texted me. He knew I was going to be here. He goes, Dad, do what you do best. Go entertain people through God. And he knows who I am, and he, on his golf balls at University of San Francisco, they said, you can have anything on your golf balls, anything at all. We'll print it on there, we'll put your name, we'll put your this or that, what would you like? And he didn't tell us, and he put crosses on all of his golf balls. So that education that I had through Christ and God and the saints and everything that I went through as a kid is just part of me. And that part has now been given to my kids and hopefully their kids and generations, so that everyone can realize that life isn't about you. Life is about him and servicing him. No matter what your job is. I always say, if you work at Starbucks, go make the best latte you can because you have a job to do. Your job is to serve people. My job has always been to serve you guys, to entertain you all. That's just my job. Now I get to do it with my wife producing 5 or 6 films now that all have a backdrop of giving glory to him. How amazing is that, and what a humbling feeling that is as an entertainer.
Terrific. Terrific. So, you know, you said as a kid you had this wit, you attracted a lot of attention, you were singing, you were making jokes, you were entertaining people. I mean, is it safe to say that the acting bug was there from the beginning? Is that what you went off to college to study at Syracuse?
Yeah, I think, you know, my brothers were going off to become stockbrokers or, you know, English major teachers or professors or this and that. And me, the sixth, I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to be an actor. And everyone was like, how are you going to tell your parents you want to go to Syracuse and study theater? I'm like, well, I think they're going to understand. And they're like, well, of course. Okay, so I guess I'm on the right path, you know. So I thank my mom and dad daily for the love that they gave me. You can't get enough love in life. You just can't. But you really can't give enough love either. It's our job as flawed people. Every single one of us are flawed. Every one of us are sinners. We all do stupid stuff every day, but it's what you do today that maybe might be a little bit better than yesterday. And tomorrow might even be a little bit better. The promise of me being the best version of me possible in everything that I do is what grounds me and what motivates me at the same time. And I try to tell it to my kids and to everyone else. Greatness is at everyone's fingertips. And that doesn't mean how much money you make in life. It doesn't matter what car you drive. None of that stuff matters at all, especially in the end. It doesn't matter. What matters is while you're here, how much of your love you give to everyone else without looking for that love coming back. That's what it's all about. And sometimes you get crucified for having beliefs. Great. Wear that cross with pride. You know, I wear my rosary beads, because it always reminds me of these ones, of St. Francis and the commitment that he had. Here's a guy who had everything. Very wealthy family. I'll take it all. You know, and as the bishop said last night, talking about going out in the woods and singing songs and being happy and trying to figure out what life is about. It wasn't about possessions. It wasn't about all the things that we get or achieve in life. It's how much love you put out there. And that's what he judges us on. I am certain of it. I hope. And, not our mistakes, because there are a lot of them. We all make mistakes. But today, let's go out and do a little bit more love instead of a little bit more flaws. And you've been a better person today than you were yesterday.
Yeah, so
This has come from a guy who's played a villain and died 63 times because of my villain. It's pretty funny. Yeah, if you asked me all these years ago, I'm going to sit on stage in front of all these amazing people and talk about a career that has spanned 30 years and 100 and something movies and thousands of hours of television and all this kind of stuff and talk about my faith to you, I would have thought you were crackers. And here I am, and how blessed I am to be able to talk with you all about what is the most important thing in your lives. And that's him. It's fairly simple. And if you keep it that simple, you won't be so tempted to do those dumb things that we generally do. We're more grounded in our faith through him to make this world a better place.
Very good.
How's that for a challenge, everybody?
Yeah. We're up for it. So after Syracuse, you were at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, which obviously you were going to continue acting at a higher level. And then it seems like, Neal, almost right from the start. I mean, if you look at your bio, a steady stream of scores of films and TV roles and even video game voiceovers. And you look at it in black and white, and it looks like this steady progression. Did it feel like that all along the way?
I'm not a kind of person who looks in the rearview mirror in a car. I'm always kind of looking forward as to what I can do next to make the world a better place. As corny as that sounds, that's just the gas that runs my engine. So, ever since I was a kid, I was always doing theater. Or when I came out to Hollywood, I was doing all kinds of stuff, and I still am. And I feel like I'm really just starting to get good at it now, which is interesting. If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd say, I'm getting good at it now. Ask me 10 years from now, I'm going to say, I'm getting good at it now. But that's just who I am. And I'm so blessed to be able to be part of all these incredible productions, to work with these incredible people, and have that faith inside me that I'm doing the right thing for him. Gosh, that's such it's a powerful feeling. And when Reve said just famous enough, I don't think I'll ever be truly famous because I never think that I'm that guy. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to entertain people. And sometimes I get to entertain people in TV, sometimes in films, sometimes in documentaries, sometimes it's in video games, sometimes it's just walking across the street and making somebody laugh. Mm-hmm. It's a great feeling. My job is 24/7, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
And in throughout your career, I mean, you have been known as a Catholic in showbiz. How unusual is that, for starters, to be a not necessarily over the top vocal Catholic in showbiz, but somebody who certainly identifies as Catholic in showbiz? How unusual is that?
Boy, there's a lot of us out there, for sure. I think when I got tested, I think you all know about 10, 12 years ago now, I wouldn't kiss a woman on screen, and I got fired for this job. And, at that point, I was a pretty devout Catholic. But for the 2 years where they took everything away from me, I was just talking earlier about, houses, cars, stuff, everything, swagger, you name it, everything got ripped from under my feet. And it was hard. But we've all been in those positions. We've all had someone significant in our lives pass away. It's hard to get over that. We've been fired from jobs. We've had just difficult things happen to us in our lives. And the moment when I said, God, why have you forgotten about me? My house was gone, my car, everything. And as soon as that came out of my mouth, I fell to the ground and started sobbing like a baby. Because then I realized at that moment, that was the moment. That was the moment when God said, aha, now you realize, because I realized I was making it all about me. I was taking all that pain and making it about me. I couldn't drink enough whiskey to get that pain out. I couldn't understand why this was happening to a pretty good guy who was getting dragged through the mud, who was being made fun of by everyone, and all this horrible thing was happening. But as soon as I came out of my mouth and I sobbed, I realized, wait a second. I have been making all of this trouble about me instead of how can I take this adversity and turn it into a positive. And 10 seconds later, the phone rang, and it was Graham Yost, who wrote Band of Brothers and Boomtown, another show that I did. Said, I heard you going through some hard stuff. How'd you like to be the villain on Justified? Who's seen Justified here? Shame on you. I'm like, but that was my shot back at the title, and I wasn't going to relinquish that belt ever again. And I may have taken things for granted. I may have gotten a little soft. I might have just not been so focused on what my job was, and that job was always to entertain people. Maybe it was all about just me getting more money. Maybe it was me getting a nicer, shinier car. Maybe it was all these things that were tripping me up instead of sticking to the game plan. And ever since that moment when I said, why have you forgotten about me? He never did. I forgot about him. That's the problem. And once you realize that it is all about him, you stop worrying about the minutia. You stop worrying about the little things that can trip you up all the time. I'm blessed. I have a partner in my wife, Reve, who's there. You know, I can go through life with one hand tied behind my back as long as the other hand is being held by Reve. And it's the truth. We have this incredible partnership that through thick and thin, through ups and downs, we love each other and we're there for each other as a unit. And I'm so blessed that I have that. Most people don't have that. I have that. And God gave me that for a reason, because maybe he knew I was going to go through some hard things to get to here, to get to the point where I can sit in front of cameras and talk to millions of people, and all of you people here are talking about if you forgive yourself, going back to mercy, if you give yourself mercy, if you think you are actually a pretty cool person, that you are a sinner and you make mistakes and you are flawed, but if you forgive yourself and give you that mercy, he's there waiting for you to give you anything you could possibly want in your life if you give yourself that mercy and then show that mercy to everyone else. Instead of judging other people, we should really be judging our own actions as to, was I the best father today? Was I the best husband today? Was I the best teammate today? Was I the best coworker today? Was I the best child of God this day? And the answer is no. You know you got work to do. You got to show yourself that mercy of how I can be the best version of me this moment, this day in my life. Because who knows what tomorrow's going to be? You don't know. Nobody knows. No one can tell you what tomorrow is going to bring. I can't even tell you what this afternoon's going to bring, but I can tell you what this moment's going to bring. A chance for you to get closer to him by showing mercy to yourself and showing mercy to everyone in this room and everyone in those cameras and everyone in the world. It's a pretty awesome feeling. It's a humbling feeling, and it's a grounding feeling when you have that. Put both your feet on the ground right now and give yourself a little bit of mercy. Take 10 seconds. Close your eyes and think about something that you're not really happy with yourself with. Something that's keeping you up at night, something that's bothering you, something that's not the greatest thing that you do, that you're a little ashamed of maybe. Think of that thing and now forgive yourself for that thing. 10 seconds of forgiveness. Don't you feel a little bit better? When you get those feet in the ground, knowing why you're here. You're not here just for you. You're here to make the world a better place, each and every one of you, and you wouldn't be here sitting in these chairs right now if that wasn't the truth. Right? You're here because you want to be a better version of you. You're going to leave this convention this weekend. You're going to go home. You're going to go to your jobs. You're going to go. And your job now is to take all this great information that you've gotten this weekend, recalibrate your brain, recalibrate your soul, and show what? Show mercy. You got to show mercy to yourself. You got to forgive yourself for your flaws, because we're all flawed. Everyone says Jesus was perfect. Remember, he tore up a temple because he was angry at what happened. He was human too. He was just a better human than all of us. He dug deep knowing that mercy is everything. This whole weekend is about mercy. Show that mercy to yourself, and I guarantee you the rest of the day will be better than yesterday. And I promise, if you get through that mercy today, tomorrow will be even better, because you will be a light for him that will shine through any darkness. Everyone says, why do you live in Hollywood? You can live anywhere you want. It's so dark there. Well, Hollywood needs light too, doesn't it? Right? I get to make movies with my wife, Reve, that give light through an area of darkness. I did a movie about a hitman who found God by grabbing onto his rosary beads and thinking, what am I doing? It's pretty cool. We're all idiots at times, and that's okay. Just be less of an idiot today than you were yesterday, and even less tomorrow, and you'll be doing a much better job for him. Amen? I knew I'd stand at some point. I don't want you to sit or sit for very long.
You know, can we go back in time a little bit? You mentioned it that from the very beginning of your career, you've kind of drawn the line that you were not going to be doing kissing scenes or sex scenes or romantic scenes with another woman, and you know that's a stand you've taken from the beginning. It kind of reached this turning point in, as you said, about 10, 12 years ago with the TV show Scoundrels, which you were cast to be one of the stars on, and they wanted you to do something, and you said no. And that was, you know, the end of that potential gig. And I wanted you to talk a little bit more about the strength it took, if strength is the right word, to maintain that stance, and what some of the fallout from that decision or stance was.
Stupidity. I mean, I don't just. It was the right thing to do. I mean, everyone knew that I wouldn't kiss another woman on screen, and they pushed me to do it, and I pushed back, and I said, no, I won't do it. And I remember flying home from Albuquerque over this massive desert, and I felt like just burying myself into that sand because I knew what was about to happen. I didn't know it was going to go to that level, but I knew torture was about to begin. In fact, I just wrote a film about that flight going over the desert. I just wrote this film called The Wicked and the Righteous. It's about Cain and Abel in the West, and the movie opens up with this guy in the middle of the desert that you think is dead, who's about to be eaten by vultures. Happy beginning. But that's how I felt at the time. And it's something that we all have to go through at times, isn't it? We all have to carry our cross at some point. But it's getting through it and owning it. I had to own the fact that I was blacklisted in Hollywood. Okay. You know, it was like Gary Sinise in Forrest Gump. Is that the best you've got? Because after a while, it doesn't hurt that much. Because you knew you did the right thing. Would I do it again? Yeah, of course I would. Do I want to put my kids through that torture? No, I don't. Luckily, they were really young, so they never really saw it. So it was a very difficult thing to go through, but because of that, I am exactly who I am this day. A guy who believes that I'm here for a reason. I'm here to entertain you people. I'm here to be the best version of me possible, and I'm here to be the best husband that I can possibly be to my wife, Reve. And those are my goals. Those are my tenets that I live by. God first, me second. Family first, me second. And our kids live by those same tenets. So if you live by those, the temptation is less. The things that we're not so happy about ourselves that we do will become less. Because then you start working on, how can I make the world a better place? In this finite amount of time, what can I do today to make your lives better? For me, it's entertaining you. For you, I'm not sure what it is, but you all know what it is. You all know what your calling is. You all know why you're here. You're not here for just, I'm just going to go up to Minneapolis this weekend and just have a nice little time at a convention. No, that's not why you're here. You're here to help change yourself so you can change the world to be a better place. It doesn't take me just because I'm an entertainer. You could be the most entertaining plumber. You could be the most entertaining person who works a Xerox machine at some job that they really don't like, but you can change everything around you in your personal surroundings. I can't change politics. Everyone talks about, you should run for politics. No, why? No, I don't really understand that. There's so much hatred. Either you're loved by 50% or you're hated by 50%. Why can't we just love everybody? And in your surroundings, that's all I can do is control my surroundings and my output, what I say, what I do, and what I think. And if you can control that in a good way, isn't that all the power that you need?
You know, while you were going through that whole experience, and you talked about God's mercy helping you through that, and thank God things reversed themselves and the career continued. While all that was going on, you were also getting married. You were building a family with 5 kids.
How many? Sorry, that was funny.
But you also said that Band of Brothers was one of the shows that helped with that comeback, and I probably watched that series once a year, and I'm probably not alone. And I remember that was the first time I really kind of focused on you, and I thought, boy, if I'm ever in a trench, that's a guy I want with me. I mean, you played a character, Buck Compton.
Please give it up for Buck Compton. So, Buck became like my other dad in life. He was just unbelievable, just larger-than-life character. But to go back to Band of Brothers, other than The Last Rodeo, the film that comes out this March through Angel, which I'm just so immensely proud of, there's nothing that will ever top Band. Everything will come in second place to Band of Brothers, because all those guys, we still have a text thread, all of us, 3 times a week, and nothing is sacred. We will just chat with each other and make fun of each other, and those guys are really, they're my brothers. They really are my brothers. But then I also got to work for Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, which is pretty cool. It was funny, when I was a kid, growing up in Cape Cod, I was a big baseball player, and when I was 9, I think I was about 9 years old, we were playing sandlot baseball every day in the summertime. Every single day, we're there at sandlot baseball, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going. And that week, a lot of the guys were like, no, we're going to be in this movie. What? Because, yeah, they're doing this movie about a shark here, and they want us to be extras. I'm like, extras in it? Why would you want to be in a movie? This is sandlot season. This is baseball time. What are you doing? So I would go there all week by myself, hitting myself fungos, up in the air, throwing the ball at myself. I'm like, gosh, these guys, I can't believe they're not playing baseball. And I told that story to Steven Spielberg when I was on the set of Band of Brothers, and he just lost it. And now I've worked 5 times for Steven, and he's been kind of a godfather to me throughout my career, which is kind of incredible. But I got to play Buck Compton, who was just a phenomenal thing. But the icing on the cake was the very first day I got into town to do Band of Brothers, I met my wife, Reve, and that was the greatest day of my life. St. Patrick's Day 2000. Not bad for an Irish guy. But Buck was, here's a guy whose parents, he grew up, just right after the Depression, and his dad killed himself in the kitchen of his house, and his apartment that he lived in was literally across the street from the apartment that I was in when I auditioned for Band of Brothers. It was just weird. It was amazing. And then from there, going on to become an All-American in baseball and football, rooming with Jackie Robinson, going off to World War II, and then coming back and becoming the DA of Los Angeles and helping put away Sirhan and Manson and all the things that he did. He did things because they were the right things to do. And I will always love and admire that. And I draw from Buck so often when I'm in times of trouble or times of, what will Buck do? And I literally think about that a lot, because he would always strive to do the right thing. And I've been blessed to be part of films where I get to play characters that have been that. I've also been part of characters that haven't been that as well, as we all know. But it's the heroes that I get to play that I love so much. And now that I get to play them more often coming in the next few years, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and with Band of Brothers, you were obviously dealing with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. You worked with Spielberg on a number of occasions. You in your long career, you've also had a chance to work with lots of great directors. Clint Eastwood on Flags of Our Fathers. What was the Clint Eastwood experience like?
Oh, boy. All right, so he's amazing. I mean, just amazing. So we're sitting on this battleship in San Pedro, and down in one of the boats down there, it's probably like 3 stories down through rigging to get to this boat. The camera jammed. And there's 2 20-year-old guys trying to figure out how to get the camera back up top up there through the rigging to fix the camera, because we need to make the shot. And Clint's just sitting there looking at them like, He's 76 at the time, 78. He gets up, goes over, goes all the way down, grabs the camera with one hand, pulls himself up all the way 3 stories to the ring, fix the camera. That's a bad dude. But Clint, just, you know, when it comes to all the movies that I've been doing ever since then, and the TV shows, he's in the back of my brain because he wants you prepared. He's gonna roll on rehearsal, and that might be it. All right, let's move on to the next scene. What? Yeah, I got it. Because he knows exactly what he wants. And if you're prepared and you know your lines, you know your stuff, no matter if you're a grip or a gaffer or an actor or whatever the case is, if you're always prepared and ready to rumble, you will be rewarded with steaks and lobsters for lunch every day. It's not a joke. We would be finished every day by lunch because he knew exactly what he wanted on that day. And shouldn't we be that way for him? If we're always prepared for God, if we're always doing the right things to prepare ourselves for that feast, wouldn't we be doing our best job possible for getting ready for those lobsters and steaks? Right? But instead, we kind of, I don't know, we're kind of not there 100%, or you're thinking about something else, or you're worried about, does your hair look good today? Do I have a pimple? I don't know. Whatever. Get over it. There's a much bigger picture in this world than you. It's him and how we can service him to make this world the best that it can possibly be, especially in times like now where everyone needs love. Everyone needs mercy. Everyone needs faith. And everyone's here today are now shepherds to take the faith that you've learned this weekend and give it back to the world. What an awesome feeling that is. It's pretty cool. So congratulations, everybody, for that.
You know, as Matt Petrusik said in the introduction, you're known for being good at playing bad guys, and you know, you're obviously a good guy. So I'm wondering, as an actor, does playing bad guys demand anything special? And do you have to go someplace special, so different from who you are? What's it like to prepare to play a bad guy?
Bad guys for me are just, I came out to Hollywood to be a comedian. I want to just be funny and tell jokes. They're like, you look funny, you look a little more dramatic. Let's do some dramatic stuff. I'm like, great. And then it switched to, when I did Walking Tall, it switched to, I went into Walking Tall thinking that I was good. Who's seen Walking Tall here? Okay, I went in there thinking I was playing the Johnny Knoxville character. So the director wants you for this film, you're going to have a meeting, we're going to talk about it, and you're going to be shooting in Vancouver. Great. And I sit there and I read the script, and I'm all ready to talk about the Johnny Knoxville character. And then it's like, no. We want you to play the villain. I'm like, what? I've never really played the villain before. Exactly, but you'd be perfect for it. I'm like, okay. And they were kind of right. It's, I think growing up with some really tough Irish guys as a kid, and I saw what that stoic looks like up close, and I know how scary it can be as a young man. I just stole from all my uncles and cousins and everyone else. My brother John says, you don't have an original bone in your body. You're just a sponge from all the information you've done. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But for me, the villains is where I get to infuse my comedy into my villains. You look at all my villains, I make you laugh at the weirdest times because that villainy is just weird to me. It's just funny and strange. Reve will come to set and we'll be laughing hysterically at some of the stuff that goes on. But the heroes are different. In fact, who saw The Shift here? Shift is this great little movie that I did last year for Angel Studios, and I played the devil. And at first I was like, no, I'm not playing the devil. No, I can't go that far. And then Reve said, well, you should because you have that great relationship with God. You're probably the best villain in Hollywood, and you and only you can infuse humanity into Lucifer, because you got to remember, at one time, he was a good guy. And I thought of that as such a great challenge. And that was and at the end of the film, you'll see it, this look on my face of how can you believe so much? I used to believe, I wish I still did. And it's one of my proudest moments as an actor. And that was one of the only times as a villain where I took my homework home with me a bit. My heroes, I really pull from me, not from anybody else. I pull from my own flaws. I pull, because all heroes, the heroes that I play are generally flawed, and they have to get through a situation to win in the end for somebody else, not just themselves. And those, I dredge up all my stuff. As a method actor, you can imagine where you go to about all kinds of things. So it's hard for me to walk away from my good guys, because it's really me that I'm pulling from. My villains, gosh, they're fun. I just spent the last 3 months opposite Sylvester Stallone on Tulsa King playing this ridiculously fun villain. And it was, by the end of the year, we made him, oh, I kind of like this guy. For the next season, obviously. So I love entertaining. I love playing whatever character you give me. I'm going to give you, like I said, if you give me $1, I'm giving you $2 worth of effort. That's just who I am. And I'm so blessed and humbled to be sitting here in front of everyone here today talking about a career that has just been, boy. One day I'll look back and I'll probably think, my gosh, you did a lot. But at this point, I got so much more to do.
Sticking with villains a little bit, a lot of people saw Walking Tall. How many people in this room have watched Yellowstone? Yeah. And,
you can applaud a little more than that for Yellowstone. Don't feel ashamed because you're rooting for the most messed up family on television. Don't feel ashamed. Don't, because that's a great show.
Well, and you were really just in a handful of episodes, but wow, what a great character, what a great villain. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what that experience on the Yellowstone set was like, Kevin Costner, all of that showbiz stuff, and then also why you think that show has resonated so powerfully in this country.
Family. You look at all the great shows, it's always about the family. My favorite show as a kid, in a comedy as a kid, was called All in the Family. And it talked about all kinds of issues in the family. And Yellowstone is really no different. It's obviously darker and a bit stranger at times. But it's still all about what will you do to protect your family? What will you do to make your family flourish? And those are the things that we all think about every day. And when you get to watch that on television, and Kevin Costner's just, it's strange. He's been kind of dragged through the mud lately for Horizon and kind of leaving the show and this and that. Kevin is one of the most decent human beings I have ever met. We did a movie years ago called The Guardian. And during lunch break, we both played college baseball, and we would take batting practice at LSU during our lunch break and just talk about life and hang out. It was just one of those really great moments. And then when I got to work with Kevin again on Yellowstone, we're both family guys, and we both love our craft so much. Kevin's incredible. He's a great leader. He's so prepared. And it's just wonderful to be around. And because of that, now I'm on Tulsa King. And Sylvester Stallone, you couldn't pick a guy more family-oriented. His wife and daughter, Scarlett's there all the time. He knows the script inside and out, knows your lines, everyone. He knows it all. But he's such a good human being. I think because, I have that immigrant mentality. So does Sylvester Stallone, that I got to work hard today because I need to make sure that I'm entertaining people correctly. I need to make sure I get this perfect. Here's a guy who's 78 years old, in better shape than anybody that I know, who works so hard at being the best version of Sylvester Stallone every single day. And it permeates throughout the whole crew. And I love that guy. He's just, Kevin and Sylvester Stallone, they're both very, very similar. They're hardworking guys. They love their families, and it was great to be around those guys, for sure.
And you began, Neal, talking this morning about the production company that you and your wife have set up. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the genesis of that, how it got underway, what you're trying to do, and what's in the pipeline. What can we be looking forward to?
I don't say this to a lot of people because they think I'm nuts. Okay. Probably am. So every year on New Year's, I'll jump into a body of water. So it's always pretty cold. Come from Massachusetts. And I talk to God. I say, what do you want me to do this year? What can I do? And I never really hear back. Until this one year, 5 years ago, I was sitting, in this cold water in Vancouver. And I heard him say, I need you to make entertainment that glorifies me. and this isn't a joke. You know, when people say, well, God spoke to me, I don't know if maybe it was my imagination, maybe it was him, I don't know. But I felt it. And I took that challenge wholeheartedly. And since then, I have produced with Rive, I think 5 or 6 movies that all give glory to him. That's what gets me cooking every day. Knowing that I'm used as an actor, and I'm good enough now to be able to tell any story as an actor. I really think I am. And I get to tell those stories to all of you, to challenge all of you through my characters of being the best version of you every day. It's a pretty awesome feeling. And I get to do it for him. What more do I need in life? And now companies are giving us money to make more movies because all these movies are turning profits. Why? And I think we were alluding to it a little bit last night. There's a change coming in Hollywood. There was a certain movement that was in Hollywood for the last 15 years or so that much of middle America is getting tired of. And they're not supporting those films with their money. They're supporting these smaller faith-based films with their money. And in fact, one of my partners the other day, he has this list of all the networks and what they're all looking for, what's all coming back, what's all been canceled, and all this other stuff. And almost all of them, at the end, said, and if you can find something faith-based, we'd be very interested in listening. I don't think 3 years ago that would have ever made those pages. So what you all are doing is supporting for the right reasons. They're starting to change the way movies are being made instead of that darkness, and I'm guilty of it. I've been part of some dark films and TV shows. That's part of making a living for my family, and I get it. But it was also part of me being better as an actor and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning to getting to this point where I can tell a story that can change the world. That's a big, lofty goal. And again, it might sound corny, but that's what I run by. If I can entertain you people with my wife and give glory to him and entertain you at the same time, not many people have had that ability in Hollywood to be able to do that and actually change the way people go to look at television shows and movies. It's pretty awesome, and I'm just beginning, but it's all because of you and your support and everyone out there who's watching. Next weekend, I'm going off to if anyone wants to go to Nashville, Tennessee, the International Christian Film Festival at the Christian Community Church in Franklin, Tennessee. It's another great weekend of you people are here to learn and be better. And I'm here because I've gotten to this point in my career where you're listening to me and I'm helping you with entertainment and to make you feel, maybe I can be more like him. Maybe I can be less like the villain. Maybe I can be more like the hero. Maybe I can get through that problem that I have and come out the other end of it. That's your journey. That's all of our journeys, isn't it? To be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And that's why we're all here today. Thank you. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
No, a lot of inspiring words, and I bet you a lot of people here, today are going to be inspired perhaps to go back and look at some of your TV and film work on their streaming services or whatever. You mentioned that Band of Brothers is in many ways what you consider the apex. What else would you point people to? What else are you particularly proud of?
It's like your kids. I'm proud of all of them. I really am. It's what's coming up next that I'm always kind of that way. What's the next thing? Homestead comes out through Angel Studios again at Christmas, which I'm really proud of. Post-apocalyptic, what happens to this very wealthy guy who has everything, and at his gates, his friends are trying to come in because they don't have food anymore, they don't have anything, and I've got it all. What do I do? It's pretty amazing stuff. And then after that, we've got The Last Rodeo, which I know you're going to love. It's the story about this aged rodeo super legend who 15 years ago, his wife died of brain cancer, and then after that, he gets drunk, gets on a bull, and breaks his back, and for 15 years, his life has just been awful. And the only good thing that's happened in the last 15 years is his grandson, who's 10 years old, and we find out that he has the same brain tumor that my wife had. And it all came from the idea of what would ever happen to me if something happened to Reve. And then I started writing the story. And what happens when I have no money, and how am I going to pay for these operations? And the insurance is just, the only answer is, once you win the green jacket at the rodeo championships, you're always invited back. And here I am in my 50s, going back to the rodeo, needing to win, and everyone thinks I'm absolutely out of my mind to do it, and they're right. And I was so proud of that film for the message that it is, because it's really, at the end of the day, it's all about love. The relationship with me and my daughter, the relationship with me and my grandson, the relationship with me and my wife who's been passed away, that Reve is so great in. I mean, she killed it. And to have Christopher McDonald, one of my best friends, and Michael T. Williamson, who's, you know him from Bubba Gump and a bazillion other movies, to round out the cast. It's something that I will be so proud of for years to come, and I know everyone here is going to love this movie. I just know it. So that's what I'm so proud of.
Well, you know, I'm looking at our little clock on the floor here, and
How did that turn to 0 already? Didn't we just
Yeah,
get here?
we've run out of time, so, you know, I just want to finally again present Neal McDonough, inspiring actor.
Thank you, everybody. All right. So in closing, one of my favorite, I'll make this quick, from Sirach 2, 5 through 7. And it's funny, I've talked about this reading a lot in different speeches, but it's a second half that I never really read, which is pretty funny, which pertains completely to this weekend, and it goes like this. Gold is tested by fire, and human character is tested in the furnace of humiliation. We all go through there. All of us. We've all been humiliated for some reason, and it's generally our fault, isn't it? It's how we overcome that humiliation that dictates what kind of men and women we really are for him, right? Hold on, thank you. Trust the Lord, and he will help you. Walk straight in his ways and put your hope in him. Doesn't say put your hope in yourself. Doesn't say put hope in something that's coming around the corner. Doesn't say hope that whatever. It's hope simply in him, that he will get you through this humiliation, because he will. Trust me. He will. And once you overcome that humiliation, here I am standing in front of you. Pretty amazing. Whoop, no, thank you. Here's the part that I never really read, and after listening to the bishop last night, boy, is it perfect. All you that fear the Lord, wait for him to show you his mercy. Do not turn away from him, or you will fail. Remember that last part. If you turn away from him, you'll certainly fail. That's not even a discussion. That's not a maybe. That's a yes. You will fail. But if you have that mercy in you, that you give yourself that mercy, and you share that mercy with everyone else, how can you fail? Don't worry about all the little things in life. Don't worry about I need this, or I need to have that, or I need to do this, or I need to look like this, or I need to prove to this person. I'm exhausted just talking about that. You're awesome. You're all gold. Every single one of you in this room today is gold. And because you're gold, you're going to be tested. You're going to have to carry that crucifix at some point if you haven't already. But you will. And after you wear that cross on your back and you get through whatever humiliation you're going through, and you know you did it with a reason of pleasing him and to make this world a better place, the power that you will feel inside yourselves is immeasurable. Trust me, I am living proof that you can overcome problems, and you can stand up here in front of millions of people and say, I did this because he has my back. How can I fail? Amen?